Okay, now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our fourth session of CEC 15's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion series. I'm Camille Casaretti, President of Brooklyn's District 15 Community Education Council, and I'm excited to be hosting the series of 8 information sessions that allow our school community members and incoming families to learn about efforts to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in our elementary, middle, and high schools. We've had some date changes for the next few sessions, so I will drop the schedule in the chat so that you can adjust your calendars. We're having a little bit of trouble with the screen share, so we might end up having a lot of links in the chat, but hopefully that'll work itself out. So our previous sessions gave an overview of DEI advancements being made in District 15 and in some cases throughout the city. Our speakers ranged from Department of Education representatives, early childhood experts, and education researchers. We talked about social emotional learning and how diverse, inclusive classrooms can lead to greater academic and social outcomes that benefit all members of our communities. Classroom practices, planning, and assessments that are aligned to approaching community and interconnectedness help to promote self-awareness and assist children and adults in making more thoughtful choices for themselves and for our communities. Our session focus today is on redirection and our ability to change patterns. The pandemic has forced us all to live in ways that are different than we're used to. These major changes have caused a lot of anxiety and distress for adults and children alike. The loss of lives have left families grieving and unprepared. Housing, food, and job insecurity is affecting a large number of New Yorkers. We're fighting for social justice, yet the crimes against humanity seem unending. It's not unusual to feel scared, angry, confused, or even depressed. The feelings and weight of this time can often be overwhelming. Our hope for today is that you'll be able to walk away from this session knowing that you have more control over positive outcomes in your personal life and in our community than you realize. We often hear people use the expressions mind over matter, look on the bright side, or where there's a will, there's a way. All of these popular expressions are based on the power of positive thinking. We can overcome obstacles when we're motivated and willing to act. I'm sorry. But during a pandemic, or even when you're feeling down, it's hard to stay motivated. How do you redirect your thoughts and ideas, some of which you may have been living with for a long time? Changing your thought patterns can change your entire life. We've all grown up with a certain thought pattern ingrained in our mind based on what we've learned, observed, or inherited from our family relations. Some are more positive, like it feels good to help other people. But some can be more debilitating, like I have to succeed or I'm not worthy. These thought patterns are actual neural connections in our brain and have been strengthened over time. So changing them isn't easy. In fact, it's like retraining a muscle. It takes time and effort, but it's totally worth it. We all have the ability to change. That's one of our most distinguishing features as human beings. How do we overcome challenges? In an ever-changing world, how do we keep up? How do we stay grounded? The first step in changing your patterns is recognizing what that thought or pattern is that you want to change. So do you feel like you have to do everything perfectly? Do you pressure your children to be perfect? That's one of those things that I am definitely guilty of. Do you feel like your career or how much money you make is a reflection of your worth? Do you always put down your appearance or can't take a compliment? Do you mostly drive instead of walk, or are you constantly on your phone or screen? If you're having negative thoughts or feel stuck in a pattern that you'd like to change, Understanding where these thoughts come from is essential in modifying your behavior. So what exactly does that mean? Like, where do you learn those thoughts, and what do you truly believe in about them? So once you examine that, you can realize how illogical or unrealistic that way of thinking is. And you might already know all of this, but are somehow feeling really stuck in your ability to change. Sometimes it helps to just write things down. And don't stress out. You can do this on your own or with a friend. Sometimes it takes more time than you're realizing. But you can start by asking yourself questions like, why do I feel this way? Or what other people in my life think this way? Or who taught me this way of thinking, either directly or indirectly? And like, what's your earliest memory of thinking this way? What would happen if you didn't think this way? So questions like these can help reveal so much about yourself. And once you get a better understanding of why you're thinking in a certain way, it can be easier to alter that way of thinking. The next step is to create an alternative response. So once you take time to think through where these thought patterns are coming from, the next step is creating an alternative response. Try to come up with something you could say in your head to replace that thought process you're trying to change. For example, you don't have to be perfect. Repeat this to yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed. Or for the person who's been, snacking more than usual. We're all kind of stuck in our homes mostly, and there's a lot of temptation. So you could say to yourself, you really don't need that cookie, and you aren't hungry, you just ate. Sometimes change can come from walking instead of taking the train, or going a different route on your walk to the supermarket or to school. A simple change can really help as long as you come up with an alternative response that truly speaks to you. Practice and be patient. Changing the way you think takes time and effort. It's very similar to muscle memory. Retraining your muscles is like retraining your brain. So be patient with yourself. It may take a few weeks to understand where your thought patterns are coming from. It may take longer. And if you realize over time that the alternate response you came up with isn't working, allow yourself time to explore another option. Give yourself the time and space to allow this thought pattern to change as it needs to. Try goal setting or making a pledge is another way to stay motivated and help build sustainable positive habits. The behavior change will be enforced through repetition. Start off with small, attainable, and timed goals. A daily to-do list might help you stay on track. Find a partner to check in with and hold yourself accountable. I'm going to drop this link in the chat, which is an example of a pledge. This is a parent involvement pledge from Project Appleseed. And this is a really great website to check out if you have the time. It talks about parent engagement in schools, and it's all very useful information. And if you're a PA or PTA leader, it might even help you with some of your planning for the year. So if you're trying to learn a new skill, exposure and experience are the key. As we're expanding our minds through reading or learning new skills, we're increasing our cognitive abilities and improving our attention and memory. Exercise also can help increase cognitive abilities. So our first speaker today is Cherry Dumal. She is the PR and Partnership Director for the Monday Campaigns, which is a nonprofit organization that dedicates the first day of every week to health. This organization is in association with Johns Hopkins, Columbia, and Syracuse universities. Their goal is to encourage people to use every Monday as a starting point to be aware of health issues and what people can do to improve their personal health. Cherry, welcome.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I think I was on mute earlier. So anyway, thank you again for inviting me here, and pleased to be able to share some information and insights to the attendees. Um, I am the, as Camille said, the PR and Partnerships Director at the Monday Campaigns, and our goal is to help individuals and organizations to use Monday for a fresh start, a reboot, a new beginning, so to speak. Some people say it's the January of the week, it's the New Year's of every week. And if you go to our website, www.mondaycampaigns.org, you'll see free concepts, research, creative materials. They're all downloadable, and you can use them for your community, for your school, for your family if you wish, or just share them. And we've been very lucky that we have been working with Camille, and we've actually collaborated on cooking classes and exercise classes. So it's been such a wonderful opportunity to participate uh, in your area of Brooklyn. Could we go to the next slide? Okay. So let us just talk about the Monday fresh start and how it relates to redirection and our ability to change patterns, which is the topic of the day. As Camille so eloquently said, COVID-19 has really made it challenging to stay, you know, on course, to be able to keep, uh, with our healthy behaviors, because, we're so much in a state of disruption. So more than ever, it is important for us to motivate ourselves and others to stay on a healthy track. So by using Monday as a fresh start, we can stay directed, and also we can change and modify behaviors that could be harmful to our mental health. Now, you're probably wondering, why Monday? So let me give you some background on that. And it is actually science-based. So we do have research that show that Monday is the day, as our chairman likes to call it, Monday is the day all health breaks loose. Next slide, please. So Johns Hopkins is one of our advisors, and they together we did some research on the significance of Monday, and we found out that Monday is a day where that people see as a fresh start, and as you could see from the survey that we did in the study, that it shows that it is like a new beginning. It is a day to get my act together. All right, some people think it's, also something to dread. Some people hate Mondays, but some people say, thank God it's Monday. And some, of course, just think of Monday like any other day. But we do know from research that have also been published, that has been published in the JAMA Internal Medicine and American Journal of Preventive Medicine, about the effect of Monday on health. Next slide, please. So just as an overview, Monday is a start day for health behaviors. When we ask people, when they're likely to begin a diet or schedule a doctor's appointment or start exercising, quit smoking, they said that Monday is the day. I think it's because, during the weekend, we sort of indulge, we sort of let loose. So Monday, you sort of think, okay, I better behave. And so that's one way of doing that. And of course, during these days, it's not just the weekend where we are able to let go, but we also have the thing called Sunday scaries. People think like on a Sunday they start thinking of the coming week, but I think you can overcome your Sunday scaries by thinking of Monday as in a positive way. And these days, it's really everyday scaries because we really don't know what's going to be happening. So sometimes we dread each day. But if we have one day to just say, okay, self, let's be, let's stay on course, let's stay motivated, let's see what we can do to help you get on a, healthier track. Next slide, please. So what's interesting is that when we looked at Google searches on a Monday, the searches for anything related to health spike. It goes up considerably. For example, people are looking for how to eat better, how to eat nutritiously, how to exercise, how to quit smoking, how to manage my stress, how to have, more time with my family. So that is really, it shows, and this goes across the world. I mean, they actually, Johns Hopkins actually did when they did the study, they looked at, comparing different countries, and, in 7 different languages, they saw that on a Monday, the searches for things related to health go up. Next slide. Thank you. So when you look at this, chart, uh, on the top left, 46% said that if they start the week with a positive frame of mind, it improves their, you know, mood. And on the next slide with the top right, if they eat healthy, 40% said that it helps me continue to stay healthy. Because sometimes, with the pandemic, sometimes we sort of over snack or overindulge. So again, use Monday as a day for a fresh start. And then when it comes to exercising, 38% said if I start on a Monday, it helps me, with my regimen and the rest of the week. And the bottom right, in terms of stress management, 38% said that if I start, just taking it easy, relieving stress, letting myself go and, meditating, it helps me go less stressed out during the rest of the week. Following slide, please. So Monday Fresh Start definitely helps people stay on course. We do know that there is science behind it. So let's all remember to use Monday as a motivator to find direction when everything around is shifting, which it is. Let's look at this day as a day to reboot, to have a fresh start. So when you wake up in the morning on a Monday, don't say, oh my God, it's another week. It says, oh my God, it's another week, and I can do a fresh start. I can do over. I can do a makeover. I can be better with my health, and the health of my family. Because again, it proves that research shows that when you begin the week on a Monday on a healthier track, it helps sustain the behavior. It helps modify your behavior for the rest of the week and beyond, which is what we want. Next slide. So when Camille asked me to share some insights on how to find direction during these trying times, I also did some Google searching. And, of course, Monday is one important factor. But some of the key things that I found, and which I know Camille has also said, but it bears repeating, let's accept that we're all experiencing this disruption. It will be uncertain, for quite a while, and everyone is affected. Uh, and of course, when some things are uncertain, you freeze in place or you go into denial. But without a sense of direction and purpose, we are do harm to our physical and mental health. We also don't work more effectively. And also sometimes relationships can all suffer. I mean, we've heard about families or couples, having fights because of being together and not having a sense of purpose. So let's all work together to find a way to create our own direction. Because, if we don't know what's to come, let's be able to, at least, you know, uh, confront it head on and see what we can do. And it's so important to think of being purpose minded, not only for our health but for our physical health as well. And I like this quote from um, Alan Rozansky from the Mount Sinai Hospital. He said, "The need for meaning and purpose is number one. It's the deepest driver of well-being there is." So find that purpose, and start on a Monday because it helps affect the rest of the week. And the following slide, please. So let's all just take a deep breath. Let's look at this, visual, and just maybe close your eyes and clear the way to refresh your intentions. Today is actually Monday, so a good day to get started. So, think of a cloud. Think of gently, erasing the cloudy days and bringing in more positive thoughts so they can shine through. Um, it's always been shown that taking long, deep breaths until you feel calm and centered helps you relax. Take 5 minutes a day when you wake up, instead of jumping out of bed, just do the breathe in, breathe out. Um, then, of course, think about, something that makes you unhappy, and how can you then uh, fight that, confront it and get away from it and bring in something more positive. And again, with each breath, think about that, because studies show when your mind is clear, you're able to set a healthy positive intention for the week, and you can be more compassionate, not only to yourself but also to others. So think about this visual, or there are many other visuals on our website if you go to destressmonday.com. And our final slide, this is just gives an overview about what we offer. We cover everything is free. As I said, you can download. You can also contact me or contact Camille if you want to have something done in your school or your community. Uh, Healthy Monday is our overarching uh, theme for all the different healthy initiatives. Meatless Monday, Kids Cook Monday, those are the nutrition based. Physical Activity Movement Monday, doing a Monday mile. Quit smoking with smoking cessation, and of course, De-Stress Monday for stress reduction. So those are all available, and I'm happy to, answer any questions, or you contact me directly after if you want, and I'm happy to work with you. Thank you.
Cherry, maybe you can drop your email in the chat.
Sure.
Everybody has that. Um, you know, hear about the initiatives that the Monday campaigns are making and how these programs help support our school communities. With so many people living in crisis and just looking for some strength to de-stress and take care, it's great to know that these simple and easy programs are readily accessible. And you know how much I absolutely adore that cloud image. There's something about it that just makes me feel so happy. I just want to blow it up and hang it on my wall. It really speaks to what, the need that we're having, just feeling so desperate for, like a breath of fresh air. And so thank you for all of those helpful hints with trying to stay de-stressed. I just want to share this slide that comes from echotraining.org. I don't know if you can get it to come up, Saida, or not. Let me see. I have a photocopy here. I will just hold this up to my screen. I don't know if you guys can see this, but Echo Training is an organization whose mission is to educate families, communities, and professionals about trauma and resilience in order to promote survivor empowerment, to resolve individual and community level trauma, and create safe, stable, nurturing relationships that break the cycle of generational trauma. And, sadly, all of us are now in a category like this. So it's almost hard to believe that we're in a global pandemic. And so we're all experiencing some level of trauma. We have to be attentive to self-care and how our children are reacting. And then I have a second slide. I don't know if we're able to put that up, but this is it. It's a useful tool for parents or teachers to use in supporting children during this time. Saida, can you drop that in the chat as well? And we'll share all of these links after the meeting. Sorry about these technical difficulties. So recent scientific discoveries about the effects of trauma, especially early childhood trauma, are revolutionizing the way we see health and human behavior. Childhood trauma occurs when a child experiences emotional or physical threat but is powerless to escape. If this happens often enough, instead of being able to discharge the fight, flight, or freeze survival response, trauma survivors either get stuck in hypervigilance, which can manifest as high anxiety, disruptive behavior, and rage, or constriction, which is shutting down or spacing out. So we now understand that trauma lies at the root of many physical, mental, and social problems, and we're learning to ask what happened to you rather than what's wrong with you. Our school staff are now able to recognize the outworkings of trauma and being trained in techniques to regulate the nervous system for both adults and children, even setting up peace corners where children can practice emotional regulation. All of these are really important advances, and they are being implemented in all of our schools. So the aim is to make classrooms that are both educative and therapeutic, spaces that meet students where they are instead of punishing them for struggling with traumatic stress. And the goal is to include self-regulation and trauma process activities such as expressive writing into academic instruction to help them work through the stress and arrive at a place where they're ready to learn. I'm very excited to introduce our next guest speaker, Griselle Cardona, who is the Vice President of the citywide District 75 Community Education Council. She's here from the Bronx with a citywide perspective on trauma-informed care. Griselle has been working as a parent volunteer with the New York City Coalition for Educational Justice. Griselle, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, thank you. So yes, guys, thank you for having me. My name is Griselle Cardona. I am part of the Citywide Council for District 75. I do also volunteer with the Coalition for Educational Justice, as well as many other organizations. One thing that we've been working on as a whole, and I have my partner here, Nelson Marr, on the line as well, is the healing-centered schools that we've been trying to do in the Bronx. And I'm gonna quickly share my screen if that's okay. Awesome. Real quick. So this is the community roadmap to bring healing center to schools in the Bronx. And these are some of our contributing authors. I just wanted to share this real quick, that it's a huge group of folks that have been a part of this project. Nelson Marr, can you just say hello and introduce yourself for 2 seconds? Is he on the line? Oh, he can't mute?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I had a little trouble unmuting myself. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. As Griselle mentioned, my name is Nelson Marr. I'm an attorney at Bronx Legal Services. I practice in the area of education law, and been a part of, this bigger working group that Griselle has mentioned, the Healing Centered Schools Working Group that has been working on trying to bring some of these practices that Griselle is going to talk about to the Bronx and hopefully, to other places of the city as well. Because as was just mentioned, trauma is something that we've all been affected by, especially in the last 7 months. So thank you again for having us.
Awesome, thank you, Nelson. So today I'm here to talk to you about Healing Center schools. We'll discuss how they're important, and how schools maybe in District 15 can become healing centered. There is a roadmap that I'll put at the end after this so that you guys can check out at home and really read through it, because it's some good stuff. So what is a healing centered school? A healing centered school is one that takes a holistic whole school approach to education that promotes healing, builds student strength, and is rooted in trauma-informed practices. Healing Center schools are schools where all students, parents, and staff members feel psychologically, emotionally, and physically safe, where we can recognize that social emotional well-being is a necessary ingredient for learn and growth. We have spent the last 2 years researching and having community conversations when it and what it takes to create a healing-centered school. Sorry for the kids in the background. We've learned that throughout this whole time, we learned that there are 3 important lessons. So number 1, that many school programs don't succeed because staff and parents don't buy into programs, or they aren't invited to participate in making change happen. So with Healing Center schools, it allows staff, parents, and students in decision making and everyone together as a collaborative, as a whole community. In our community discussion, students and parents and staff had told us stories about promising school programs that did not make much of a real change because they were implemented in an isolated way. So for example, we heard a restorative justice program that failed because the broader school culture did not reflect principles of restorative justice. So with the Healing Center schools, they must take a holistic approach to change by examining all aspects of the school environment and to ensure how are they working together to promote healing. Our group members also have seen many promising programs fail because they were implemented with a top-down, one-size-fits-all approach. We believe with the Healing Center School that it must be responsive to its unique needs of the school community. That's why we recommend that each school create their own team to assess their school needs and creating a healing-centered plan to help them on their unique journey. Not every school is the same. We all have different types of issues when it comes to trauma. Trauma comes in all shapes and sizes and forms, and it can be silent, it can be loud. And so when it comes to, trauma, especially now with COVID, it's taken a toll on a lot of us. So why is healing centered important, right? So 1 of every 4 children in the classroom has experienced childhood trauma, as Camille has stated. And that was before pandemic. So this year, so many of our students have been exposed to significant traumas, and those include interpersonal traumas like a loss of a loved one due to COVID or experiences of domestic violence, but also includes systematic traumas like exposure to racism or homelessness. Childhood trauma impacts students' the ability to grow and develop social-emotional skills. Students with trauma may have difficulty focusing in the classroom and may have a difficult time engaging with peers and adults, or may experience behavioral changes. Later in life, they're more likely to experience unemployment, health issues, criminal justice, and X, Y, and Z. Students' experiences with childhood trauma also impact the adults around them. So many staff members experience various trauma when they support students. When students are not prepared to support, when schools are not prepared to support students with trauma, bad things can happen. So schools can respond punitively to students' behavior that really needs support, or they may neglect the students' academic needs because they don't recognize the trauma impact on learning. Staff may experience burnout leading to high rates of turnover and emotional health issues. But schools that employ trauma-informed and healing center practices can reduce the effects of trauma and promote student and staff socio-emotional well-being. So how does the school become a healing center, right? So the first step is to train all staff on trauma, how it impacts learning, and what practices they can use to support students in the classroom and in other parts of the school environment. Our schools are already doing this. The DOE has made available to all staff on training on trauma responsive educational practices from the University of Chicago. This is a training program that our group had recommended. The second step is to create a transformation team. Individuals across the school community who are passionate about creating healing-centered change. This team should include parents, staff, students, senior administrator. They will solicit feedback from the school community, build buy-in, and create your school's healing-centered plan. The diversity of this team and the work they will do will ensure all aspects of your school's community and make sure they're being represented. The third step is to create a healing-centered plan. To create this plan, your school's your school's transformation team will host community conversations to find out what parts of your community culture promote healing and what parts of your school culture undermine healing and create harm. The team will also ask the school community to share ideas of types of change they would like to see in their school. The team will take the feedback and use the menu of options in our healing roadmap, which I will post, to create a healing center plan. Our roadmap provides dozens of programs, changes that you can include in your school's plan, and academic changes, restorative justice programs, culturally responsive education principles, positive behavior supports, and changes to the way you engage in school discipline. Once you have your healing center plan, your transformation team will help your school implement it and assess it. Once your team feels those changes have been implemented successfully, you can continue planning new changes to your school along its healing center journey. We know this is a rough year, and taking a big project in the midst of all the chaos can seem daunting. But we also know that many people are interested in healing centered approach because students and staff have been traumatized by the events of this year. This is why we want to help schools start this journey, and we want to make it easy for them to take that first step. Your school can take 2 steps by getting started. Schools can schedule time for staff to complete the training on trauma responsive educational practices and discuss it with one another. This can be during a staff meeting or sometime, maybe PD. They can use this time to brainstorm how they might apply these practices to their school, and maybe even invite parents to participate. Again, it's important to have parents involved in this process because you want to have both sides in part of this planning process. Schools can identify a few passionate individuals who are interested by joining transformation team and creating the healing center change. These can be parents, students, or staff members. Then reach out to us and we can help you. Our working group can support schools that want to begin in the healing center journey. We can host conversations in your school community to educate students, parents, and staff on healing center practices. We're currently developing a training for schools. Once it's complete, we can train your school's transformation team for free. This training will walk them through the roadmap and help them begin the healing-centered planning process. We can help your transformation team solicit community feedback through town halls and surveys. Through our roadmap, we provide a menu of changes and programs your school can include in your healing center plan. And I will also post the email if you are interested in a healing centered roadmap. And I will also give you guys some of this that you can take back. Nelson, is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I did want to just mention that I know a lot of people are talking about trauma. A lot of people are talking about, you know, being trauma informed, and we're actually saying that that's, you know, important, but that's not enough. You know, that simply having training, you know, that's good, but we actually need to transform our schools and really talk about healing, because just knowing that children have experienced trauma, or knowing, you know, how to, you know, identify children who've experienced trauma is but the first step. And really, you know, we have to create environments in our schools to help children heal, because that's the only way we're going to create schools where, you know, we don't have to, you know, deal with, you know, kids having to get dysregulated because they're dealing with all these issues, whether it be from what's happening in school or what's happening at home or in their communities. So, so we really encourage, you know, those who are interested in taking this next step to definitely reach out to us at the Healing Centered Schools Working Group, and really, you know, start on this process of creating a school environment that really does benefit some of our most at-risk students.
Thank you both so much. It has really been a great pleasure having you and learning about these programs. And we have a number of people on the call from the District 15 office. I'm sure that they agree wholeheartedly because this is definitely the direction that District 15 is going in. Thank you, Grizel, for all of this information. And Nelson, very nice to meet you. Attendees on the call, if you are participating in your school leadership team meetings, definitely bring up trauma-informed practices. I'm sure your schools are already implementing many of them, but this topic really needs to sort of stay at the forefront in terms of the approach to learning, today and always. So it's unfortunate that a pandemic had to bring this to the attention of everybody. But I do believe that District 15 and the DOE are moving in the right direction. And thank you again to Grizel and Nelson. Our next guest is Stacy Ornstein, who is the founder and director for Allergic to Salad, which began as a blog in September 2010, following the recipes and antics of Stacy Ornstein's after-school cooking class for elementary age students. Since then, the organization has grown exponentially as interest in teaching children how to make delicious, healthy meals has broadened. Today, Allergic to Salad services nearly 150 schools and sites across all 5 boroughs, reaching over 10,000 students annually. The conversation about equity and food insecurity and how food plays a role in our lives can open paths to open-mindedness around a lot of different issues. These topics are very much a part of raising healthy and adventurous eaters. So we're excited to have Stacy with us today to talk about positive thinking around new foods. Stacy, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You're a little fuzzy.
A little fuzzy. All right, I'll just.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Son's headphones. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yep. Great.
Great. Ooh, this is not what I wanted. Hold on. I'm very analog, so I apologize. I don't have any slides or anything. I'm pretty sure my second grader knows more about how to operate Zoom now than I do. So I just wanted to say hi to everyone and thank you for inviting me here today. The initiatives and discussions that everyone has brought up are also important, and I think the work of all the fellow organizations is fantastic. So just kudos and bravo to everyone. Camila asked me to come here today and speak a little bit about our curriculum and initiatives with Allergic to Salad, so I'm excited to do that. So a little bit more about Allergic to Salad. As said, it started as sort of a very personal project for me while I was teaching students healthy cooking in an after-school program in Manhattan. And this was at a time when sort of the cupcake craze was booming and businesses were opening up across the city, showcasing baking classes for sweet treats for kids and bringing these classes into after-school programs and into schools. And my initial reaction to all of this was that if kids are ever helping in the kitchen, it's likely that they are making all of these sweet treats, the cookies and the brownies and the cupcakes. And so I asked myself, sort of, are we really giving kids the tools that they need for future success by making cookies at school with them? And, spoiler, I have a master's in education, and I was pretty sure that we could do better. And so sort of with that program, Allergic to Salad was born, named after one of my students who, whenever she saw something green on the table, would feign illness and tell me that she was allergic to salad. So that's sort of the quick background, but my belief is that cooking is a very magical thing. It's a way for us to travel the world from gazpacho to curry. We can explore different cultures and really connect through food. So I thought this was just such an amazing vehicle to learn from. You can learn languages through cooking, right? Not only are certain words specific to a language that we use, you know, throughout all cultures, but also you could take, and we offer, you know, full immersion cooking classes. So I thought that was super, super amazing. It's also a science to follow a recipe, right? We can make a prediction. You know, will we see the outcomes that we expect when we cook a certain dish? And, you know, when cooking with kids especially, it's not always what we are expecting and what our initial predictions will be. We can gain a better understanding for math, right? Cooking is a real world application for those moments in school when you would like tell yourself, like, when am I ever going to need this, right? And in cooking, you really do need these things that we talk about and so much more. And then beyond this, cooking is a life skill, right? Personally, for me, it was how I saved money when I was in college. And through cooking, I became more conscious of my budget and also my health, right? So that while a bag of chips is delicious, I started to understand nutritionally through cooking that that bag of chips was pretty empty, and that for less money, I could buy and eat an apple that would fill me up in a similar manner and was actually good for my body. But then this also made me question things like, why is soda often less expensive than water when we go to a store? Or why do we see our favorite cartoon characters in commercials and on boxes of gummy treats, but not on like a head of broccoli, right? Like, who is supporting broccoli in all this? And I thought, you know, like, what is happening here? And what are these questions that come up just through the act of cooking and sharing food? And all we had to do is sort of stir the pot a little to really get into it. So in creating Allergic to Salad, it was very important for me to bring all of this to the table. And I think that's what really sets Allergic to Salad and our curriculum apart from other culinary programs that are out there. So every year we tweak our curriculum. We are very conscious of our students and their backgrounds, even across all 150 schools, where we are very aware of the cultures that we are reaching. And we strive to represent as many of these backgrounds as possible and as many of these cultures as possible, while also working to diversify our own team. So it's our team of educators that are trained in going into schools leading our programming. And we also want to connect cultures, right, and bridge understandings between them. And an example of this is that when we're making something, say like kimchi in class, it's always amazing to hear the discussion and the aha moments when students of all backgrounds start to share and understand how their family and their cultures also ferment food historically, and whether it's pickled turnips from Egypt to green tomatoes in the South. It's very cool to hear those students share that, and it's just an amazing cultural discussion that they can have. And what's amazing is that through these connections, not only can we understand each other better, but it also allows our students a comfortable door to sort of explore new foods that they would normally say, like, this is gross, this is disgusting, kimchi, that's weird. And it's like, no, okay, I can understand that it's like my culture also has something similar, and I eat it and I like it, so maybe I am willing to try it from this other culture. And so knowing how to cook is not just fun, it's also a life skill. It takes us away from the reliance on big business and fast food, and it puts the power into our fork and onto our plate. Cooking and eating is very much a political act, and we explore these ideas in our classes, whether it's from globalization, right? Why is there cilantro in Southeast Asian cuisine and also Caribbean cuisine? How does that happen? And access, we talk about food deserts and why can some neighborhoods in New York City have access to some foods and not other neighborhoods. And we talk about equity. And we ask our students to explore these concepts of social injustice within just the food system, but how it connects to the rest of the world, and how we can make positive changes for ourselves and our families and our communities all through cooking. So the majority of our programs are paid through city funding in connection with DYCD after-school programs like Beacon and Sonic, as well as PTA-run after-school programs. And then we have a handful of schools that do bring us in for in-school enrichment, or more and more these days, we're doing some one-time virtual field trips for classes or for schools, or sort of family engagement stuff. We're a certified WBE also, so our programming can count towards CCLC 21st Century MWBE minimums or other state and federal funding that have similar MWBE requirements. So with that, on Monday, October 26th, so you can start, as Sherry says, your week off healthy. Also I know that they do a Kids Cook Monday campaign too, so you can get your kids cooking as well. And I hope you'll join us. So in collaboration with CEC 15, we're going to be hosting a special cooking class to celebrate Indigenous cultures. And we'll be making roasted vegetable tacos with homemade tortillas and a bean salsa. So it's a great class. It's a lot of fun. Students love it. And everyone's always amazed that you can actually make tortillas, not just buy them at the store. Because where do those come from? So we'll be celebrating Indigenous cultures. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And we'll have a discussion on Three Sisters and how those ingredients specifically spread throughout the world. And so so you can spread the word. The class is going to be set up as what we're calling Cook Later. So that means that students will be fully preparing a dinner for 4, and we will be providing additional instructions on how to heat it, how a caretaker can heat it when they're ready to eat. I've forwarded Camille the full list of ingredients and equipment, so she has that, and she will be sharing that, as well as our Zoom link for the class. And the equipment is pretty much no one should have to buy any equipment. We've made these as very low as possible in terms of equipment needs and ingredient costs, and total cost of equipment is about $5-6 to participate in this dinner that will then feed 4 people. So that's it. I hope I got everything. And Camille, if you need anything more from me, let me know.
Can you guys hear me? No.
Yes.
You can hear me.
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
sorry. For some reason, I got a pop-up saying I was not muted. Yeah, super excited about next Monday. Anybody on the call, if you want to be first to receive that link, make sure you write to CEC 15 at schools.nyc.gov, but that's going to be going out later today. Wow, this has been such an amazing session of health and wellness. Our next and final speaker is Tibel Reyes, who is the Senior Program Manager with Elevate Education. Since 2016, Elevate Education has been working with more than 500 schools across New York City, with the focus of introducing effective study habits and routines for students and families. Elevate Education facilitates fun, engaging workshops that share practical ways of reinforcing these habits in the home. Tibel, take it away.
Thank you so much. And Stacy, I have to say, you made me quite hungry. I hope to be joining. We're a family of 3 here, but I eat for 2 people, so it works out. So really looking forward to being a part of that. Thank you so much, Camille, for allowing me to share just a little bit about what Elevate Education is doing across the city. I do want to just kind of give just background, some context as to where we are currently. As Camille mentioned, we've been working since 2016, partnering with over 500 schools. Last year, in fact, we were working specifically with 300 schools up until March, and of course, the pandemic occurred. And We were working primarily with many students, but then a lot of our community school leaders began reaching out to us and asking, hey, do you have any resources for our parents? And we did, but then we wanted to become much more intentional with the work that we were doing with parents. So one of the things that we did, we started interviewing all of our parents and surveyed a few with our real trusted partners who had been with us for a few years. So, and we received about 250 responses asking different topics and areas that they wanted additional support. Now, my wife and I, we have a fifth grader here, so we immediately saw some challenges and obstacles, this whole remote learning world and working from home, and where parents now have become teachers, guidance counselors, social workers, gym teachers, cafeteria staff, personal secretaries, assistant, a little bit of everything. So we began to really collect some information and seeing where parents wanted some additional support. Specifically, again, with our focus on building habits and routines that really promote conducive learning and setting up some effective study habits, because that's what we know, and that's what we were training a lot of our students, our scholars in. So I just want to quickly share a little bit of the resources, some of the workshops that we facilitate and we run, because of discussing with Camille, we'd love to offer one of the free workshops on the district level, and then see and if we could partner with schools, if there is interest there, and we could just have some discussion around that. So one of the first topics that parents began reporting was like, I noticed around our time management habits in my child, I would like to build some routines and consistency around that. So that's one of our I would say currently one of our most popular workshops that we're running is that of time management, how to build systems in the home that we can revisit together as a family, build some schedules around it. Because I think it's easy to say, during the day while, the child might be on their laptop and their screen time working. But after that, once that's closed, what are we doing as a family? What are our children doing? How are they managing their time? If they're anything like my little one who loves making slime, it might be wanting making slime or playing with her hamster like she loves so much. But the idea is building some time blocks, some scheduling there, and how we can build that as a routine, as a habit. So then, by the time we practice it enough, that 7 o'clock hits. Hey, 7 o'clock means reading for 20 minutes of the day. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that, we're going to have that built in 100% of the time. But if a child can follow a routine, let's say 50% of the time, that's 50% of the time where there's some structure there, right? So we have another session all about goal setting and motivation and how important that is. Again, if you're anything, I'm sure this pandemic has taught us how easily sometimes we can lose that motivation and lose sight of our goals. To be honest, even many of us might have planned, and this pandemic said, no, your plans are changing. So the idea is, how can we short-term plan a bit with goals in mind on the academic side of things, but more importantly, just as a family, how can we build goals together? I was facilitating this the goal setting workshop a couple of weeks ago with a parent, and the parent reached out to me, thanking me, emailed me and said, I hadn't thought of the idea of goal setting for myself in years. And I know that I am, children model, it's modeled behavior here. So I have to not only think about myself now, like how can I expect that of my daughter if I'm not doing it for myself? So which is awesome to see. Like I created a little vision board, a short-term plan for myself, and I shared it with my daughter. So she started building one together, which is awesome to see. So that's another session that we share. We have another all about procrastination. That's something that and I'm sure many of us are guilty of, leaving things for last minute. But the idea is if we can break that habit early, like this is the opposite, right? Instead of just introducing a new habit, the idea is breaking this habit of procrastination and in fact introducing new ones, such as working off deadlines, to-do lists, and effective prioritization and what that might look like. So we walk parents through that again, because again, this all aligns with setting our children up for, let's call it, optimal performance of achieving, where if they're, if they can manage their time effectively, if they're setting some goals, if they're avoiding procrastination, that could really link to academic success. We have another workshop all about stress management. I know we're talking here a lot today of trauma, taking care of ourselves and all of that, and that's really important. And one of the things that we do share here with parents is the idea that stress is inevitable. We're going to face stress no matter what, but how we handle stress as a family, how we handle stress within our, with our children, and how we model that behavior for our children is key. Because if we see that, I'm handling stress and in an unhealthy way, that's going to set a pattern in my household. So one of the things that we discussed within that session is just identifying stress in our children, because many times a child can't verbally just express like, hey, this is stress right now, but there are some behavioral characteristics. There's some things that we can identify and see, okay, this might be leading to stress, and we can intervene a little early on and introduce, again, building and normalizing coping strategies and grounding techniques that we could do in the home as a family and as an individual. So yeah, so we share some tips and takeaways with all our sessions. All of our sessions are facilitated in English and in Spanish right now. We have that capacity to translate all of the materials. We're looking to continue to expand, but those are currently the two languages that we share. I'm trying to think. We also have another all about independent learning skills and different study habits and study skills and how to build that when it comes to like annotation of text or even taking notes, and just the mysteries of note taking, how much we complicate it. So we talk about some practical ways that parents can help reinforce some of these skills in the home. So yeah, I just want to share just a little bit. If you are interested, I'd love to just connect and see if there's any way we can support your parents. What I've just actually put in the chat is a link directly to my calendar. So if you'd like 10 minutes to just like talk it through, just click that little link and you can book in a time that works perfect. And as I mentioned, we'd love to offer up a free session on the district level. We can invite all parents we'll be able to share one of the resources. I mean, I'll let Camille choose which one she would like personally, and then we could perhaps take it from there. But once again, I do want to thank you so much for allowing me to just briefly share a little bit about what we're doing.
Thank you so much. I am definitely going to share all of the information with our school communities, with the PAs and PTAs, and hopefully you'll be able to learn more about your organization and all of those amazing services that we definitely all need more of. So we're like nearing the end of our session. I want to thank all of our guest speakers and thank our audience for attending the session today. As a reminder, we'll be holding these sessions every other week through December 14th. Our next session is on Monday, November 3rd together. If you'd like to review our prior sessions, you can find the video recordings on cecd15.org, our website. And I just dropped some fun skills you can learn at home in the chat. And do save the date for Monday, October 26th at 5 p.m. for the family cooking workshop with Allergic to Salad. So thank you all. Stay safe, everyone, and do enjoy the day. Thank you.